you've been watching my channel for a while now, you've realized that I've done endgame hybrid build videos before, one for melee, ranger, summoner, and now, last but not least, we're doing mage. The mage class has some of the coolest weapons in Terraria. See, melee, range, and summoner weapons are all similar. Melee weapons are usually close range, mostly swords and some yo-yos. Range weapons are different types of guns and bows, and summon weapons are almost all staffs and a few whips. But magic weapons? Well, there's basically everything. Clouds that rain projectiles, guns that shoot killer bees, books that spawn cursed fireballs, guitars that shoot stars, and a prism that spawns a killer rainbow death ray, to name a few. The point is that magic weapons have the most variety in Terraria. There's literally over 100 unique weapons that you can choose from, which are all awesome. And to go with your awesome magic weapon of choice, today I want to talk about a hybrid magic armor build that you can use endgame specifically to fight the Moonlord. Thankfully, all the pieces are actually quite easy to get, even if you've never played Terraria before. Now, without stalling any longer, let's get into the video. The first piece of armor you'll need is a Spectre Mask. It increases defense by 18, max mana by 3 stars, reduces mana cost by 13%, and increases magic damage and critical strike chance by 10%, a very strong armor piece. To make it, you'll need to mix 12 Spectre bars together at a hard mode anvil. 12 bars can be made by combining 12 chlorophyte bars with 12 ectoplasm. Chlorophyte is really easy to get, just grab a spunker potion and mine exactly 60 ore, which should take you no more than 5 minutes. For the 6 ectoplasm, you'll need to farm dungeon spirits in the hard mode post Plantera dungeon. Make sure you're post Plantera, otherwise these enemies won't spawn. Each dungeon spirit has a 100% chance to drop 1 to 2 ectoplasm, and they're pretty easy to defeat. You'll just have to survive long enough to find them. If you're having trouble, follow these tips. Make a bed outside the dungeon and set your respawn points, so if you die you'll spawn right outside the dungeon and you can continue grinding quickly. Also, defeating post Plantera dungeon enemies like the different armored skeletons and more increases your spawn chance of dungeon spirits spawning, so don't run past enemies and instead try to defeat as many as you can. Lastly, placing down a water candle and or drinking a battle potion can help by increasing dungeon spirit spawn rates. You only need 6 ectoplasm, which means only around 3 to 4 dungeon spirits, which isn't much. The second and third armor piece you'll need are the Dark Artist robes and leggings. I paired them together because you obtain them in the same way. The robe provides 21 defense, 10% increased magic damage, and 15% reduced mana cost, and the leggings provide a staggering 25% increased magic critical strike chance, as well as a bonus 20% increased movement speed, which helps with dodging and survivability. Comparing this with the Spectre robe and pants, the two Dark Artist pieces overall give you 11 more defense, way more damage, critical strike chance, movement speed, and reduced mana cost. They also provide a total of 45% increased summon damage, which can be super useful for some additional DPS. To get both pieces, you'll need to buy them for 50 defender medals each from the Tavern Keep. To get defender medals, you'll have to farm waves of the Old One's army. Each wave rewards you with medals, and completing the whole post-golem Old One's army rewards you with about 130 total medals. You'll probably have to spawn the Old One's army more than once to get enough defender medals. You can do this by buying the Eternia crystal and the Eternia crystal stand from the Tavern Keep, and then placing the crystal in the stand by right clicking. Both the stand and the crystal are pretty cheap, so you should be able to spawn the Old One's army as many times as you want. As soon as you have 100 defender medals, that's it. Buy the Dark Artist robes and leggings from the Tavern Keep. Now let's quickly compare the stats of the full Spectre armor, what most people use, to the stats of the hybrid build. The full Spectre armor with the mask gives the following stats. Pause if you want to take a look. And then the hybrid build gives the following stats here. Here's the difference between the two. The hybrid build gives 11 more defense, 5% less magic damage, 18% more critical strike chance, 12% more movement speed, 15% more reduced mana cost, and an extra 45% increased summon damage. And obviously the hybrid armor doesn't give a set bonus, so that's a little less damage there. Although this less magic damage is made up by the massive critical strike chance increase. Critical hits deal twice the damage of a normal hit with increased knockback. The hybrid armor having 18% more critical strike chance is a huge increase, but don't let me speak for you, here are the numbers. Now let's test this hybrid build against the Moonlord. I'm equipping the following accessories you see on the screen here and using the Nebula Blaze as my weapon. On the bottom is the Moonlord's health bar and the DPS counter. At this rate, I'll be able to defeat the Moonlord pretty quickly. My wings combined with the Master Ninja gear make it pretty easy to dodge the Moonlord's phantasmal death ray, and the homing abilities of the Nebula Blaze allow me to focus on dodging the rest of his attacks. This hybrid build combined with the weapons and accessories I'm using now make this fight pretty quick. For my glass cannon players, you can also swap out the Spectre Mask with the Hallowed Hood. This would give you about 2% more magic damage and critical strike chance, as well as 2 extra mana stars, but would lower your overall defense by 13. Not a worthy choice in my opinion, but you're free to try it out. Also keep in mind that the Spectre Hood is almost useless in the Moonlord fight because of how the Moonbite debuff works. It prevents players from using lifesteal items, making the hood useless. And that's it. This endgame hybrid mage build is one of my favorites to use against the Moonlord in Terraria. It increases your overall damage output, defense, movement speed, and more. Remember to check out my videos on endgame hybrid builds for the melee, ranger, and summoner class if you haven't already. Leave a like for more content like this, and until next video, peace.